I want to talk to you about your new tiled shower and bathroom floor, and I want to specifically go over the way that we do our waterproofing and our tile prep. We do it differently than most contractors out there, and it's really important that you get what it is that we're doing that is different. First, I want to show you how we don't do it, and the reason I'm going to do that is the majority of contractors these days use a system that started probably about 60 years ago. It started because contractors were trying to come up with a way to build showers faster and cheaper. And they succeeded, but the problem is they aren't of the same quality anymore. They're going bad in about 5 to 8 years, at least with moisture issues, some leakage issues. They're not lasting. And we only do kitchens and bathrooms, and we realized that if we kept installing it the way that most contractors, me included, were trained or have been trained for the last 60 years, we're going to go out of business. We're going to have showers going bad everywhere, and we don't want to have that happen. So we really did our homework, and we found a system out of Germany. It's called Schluter systems, and this is the way that we do our showers. But first, I need to show you the way that most contractors do it. So basically, what everybody's been taught to do, and this will start to make sense in a second as I draw this out, is this is your wall, that's your subfloor, these are the joists underneath. So everybody guts the shower, takes the tub out or takes the old shower out, and then they stub up a PVC tile drain, and they frame in the curb, and then they drop a big rubber sheet in here, hook it up at the curb, and then they bring it up the wall about 12 inches. And that's it for the waterproofing. That's all we were trained to do. It's just a sheet of rubber, and it's just dropped in there, and it tucks into the corners, laps up over the curb, and there you go. That's the only thing keeping the water in your shower with this system. And then we were taught to just start doing the tile prep. So we pour cement in here and slope it to the drain. So that's a bed of cement sitting on top of a rubber sheet. And then we put some kind of a substrate up on the wall, right here, gets screwed up onto the studs here. And that's either Dur-Rock or HardieBacker, or some guys even use greenboard drywall because you can per code. So that gets screwed up here, and then they take that and they screw that around the curb. Right there. That's it for tile prep. That's all we were taught to do. And then we were taught to just start setting tiles. So then you go in, you start setting tile on the walls, and everybody uses mastic now to set tile to the wall. It's one of those products that came out around that same time when they were trying to figure out how to get this bathroom remodel to go faster. The reason that contractors love it, it's sitting underneath all these tiles right here. They spread this mastic all across the wall and stick the tiles right on it. The reason contractors love it is it's very sticky. They can just slap that stuff up on the wall and stick their tiles up there, and the tiles don't slump down. Traditionally, back when tile was done correctly, in houses that were built in the 20s and 30s, it was done with cement. It wasn't sticky initially. You had to know what you're doing and build your courses, or else it would all slump down, and it took more skill and a higher paid labor rate. This right here, you slap it up there, you stick the tiles up, they don't slump down, and you're good to go. So that's the reason that it's being used. So there's that, and then the tile goes on the shower floor and around the curb, and it gets grouted. So now you start showering with this thing, and I'm going to show you why we don't use this system anymore. So here's what happens when you start using this new shower, your first shower and your new shower built this way. So you start showering, and most of the water goes down the drain, but not all of it. Water goes through anything that's porous. So you have grout between the tile, then you have a bed of cement, and then underneath all of that is where you have this rubber sheet. So even though most of the water goes down the drain, even after your first shower, there is moisture that has made its way down underneath the cement, and it is now trapped at that rubber sheet, and it has nowhere to go because you're showering every day and it's trapped down under there. And very, very quickly, that just becomes a layer of goo. It's just bacteria and mildew, and it's gross. One for one, when we rip these out, it's just a layer of slime down there, and it's the way it goes. So that's going on down there. And then also, for whatever it's worth, this waterproofing coming up the wall is only coming up 12 inches. The rest of this is not waterproof. So moisture can make its way back into the wall cavity, and worse, that mastic, the reason that it's so sticky is that it's a glue. It's not a cement, so it means it's organic. It breaks down over time, and it's food for mold and mildew. So obviously, we stopped using this system. This is the way that we do our showers with the Schluter system. All right, so the first thing that we do when we're doing it with the Schluter system is we pour the cement shower floor first. Remember, with this other system, the first thing that happens is the membrane gets put in first. It gets draped in there and brought up the wall 12 inches. We don't do that. The first thing we do is we pour and slope the cement in your shower. And just as an aside about sloping cement as a separate subject, you want a guy that's done it hundreds of times. You want the guy that can do it in his sleep. You don't want the guy that does 2 of them a year. It's like a surgeon. You don't want the surgeon that's just done it a few times. I say that one of your neighbors, I just ripped out her shower. It was done a year ago by a guy that didn't do that many, and he left low spots all throughout the cement. And every time she turned off the shower, she had to walk through puddles and scoop them down into the drain, and it was driving her crazy. So they paid us to come in and gut the bottom half of their shower and do it right. So our guys do 2 of these a week. They've all done hundreds. They can do it in their sleep. They get that 1/4 inch per foot to the drain, perfect. In the last 400, we did 1 that didn't drain quite the way we wanted it to, and we ripped it out and redid it. So that's a big deal, and we get it right. So that's on the cement. So we put the cement in first, and then the next thing that we do is we bring in the Schluter membrane, and it's not just a big floppy rubber sheet like this. It's this orange rubber skin, and it gets mortared down. It gets cemented down. It goes up the curb, across the entire floor, all the way up the walls to the ceiling. And at all of the odd angles, like a really bad one is right here where the curb hits the wall. With this system, because I did this system for years, you can't get it right. You've got a big floppy rubber sheet, and you're slicing it and folding it over the curb. Now there's a V right there, and that always leaks. And even if you're doing your due diligence and you come in with another piece of rubber on top of that, well, you got to screw that down. You're putting holes in the rubber. And then you have to slop red guard. It's just this whole mess that you don't get into with Schluter, because Schluter solves the problem with these different tough areas with specific fittings. Like, for example, right there where the curb hits the wall, there's a specific fitting made for that spot, and it overlaps 3 inches onto all the adjoining walls, and it gets mortared down. Another one for the end corners, around all your fixtures, at all of the seams. So when we're done waterproofing your shower, it's basically just this big orange rubber shower, and done correctly by people that are trained to do it, you could shower in there forever. It'll never leak with no tile in there. It'd be really an ugly shower, but it's completely waterproof. The tile has nothing to do with the waterproofing with this system. So then we come in with your tile, and we set your tile with mortar, not with the glue. And we set it, come all the way up to the ceiling, on the floor, coming up over the curb. We grout it, let it set, and now you start using this shower as compared to the one I just showed you over here. When you start using this shower and the water goes through the grout, and it always will because grout is porous, instead of going through the grout and through the cement and getting caught down underneath right down there at that rubber sheet, it immediately hits a membrane that's been pre-sloped because it's on top of the cement. And so gravity, believe it or not, pulls that water that's gotten underneath the tile, it pulls it down towards the drain. The drain is part of this whole system. It's a Schluter drain, and it not only has the main holes up top, it has what are called weep holes all down underneath for that moisture that got through the grout to have a place to escape. So that moisture comes down and out. So the point is, you'll never have this gross standing moisture of goo that you have under here. You can't. It actually won't happen with this system. Also, nothing gets into the walls because we've waterproofed it all the way up to the ceiling. And finally, there's no organic material in the adhesive like there is with this one. This is mastic. This is glue all the way up the walls. This one right here has cement everywhere. So there's no organic material that can either break down or act as food for mold and mildew. So that's the way that we do our showers. And then moving out into the rest of the bathroom with the floor, this system also translates out onto the floor. So coming back over here to the way that we don't do it anymore, but the way that the majority of contractors still do it, here's your subfloor. What most guys are going to do is they're going to come in with another layer of subfloor and put it down. That's either going to be Durrock or Hardy Backer or plywood, and they're going to screw that down. and then they're just gonna set their tiles right on top of that. And the problem with that system is that you're tiling directly to the framing of the house when you do that. And a house will move, it'll shift with the seasons and heat and cold, expansion and contraction. Tile's not supposed to do that. It can't. It'll start to crack, it'll start to crumble. So when we don't do our shower or our bathroom floors like that, what we do is we use this membrane, which is from Schluter, but it's their floor membrane. The wall membrane is called Curdy, the floor membrane is called Ditra. So we put down a layer of mortar and then we put this membrane right down on top of the subfloor, let it dry, and then we put your tile using mortar directly onto that membrane. So that membrane does two things. It waterproofs the entire bathroom floor, and it acts as an isolation membrane, so it isolates the tile, here's the membrane, it isolates the tile from the framing, and the framing can move and it won't translate up to the tile. The tile won't be affected. So that's the way that we do our waterproofing and tile prep. And the reason I spend so much time going over this is it's the most important part of your bathroom project. Everything else is important, the painting and the cabinetry and everything, but that stuff could be done perfect and exactly the way it should be done. And if this isn't, the whole thing is a bust. This is levels more important than the other things. And if this isn't done right, then you're gonna have to redo your entire bathroom pretty soon. So that is why we use Schluter.